When I first started Method back in 2005, I had no idea that things were going to get this big. I had no idea that this was ever going to be more than a hobby. Like, don't get me wrong, when I was playing back in 2005, I always wanted to push the guild to be as successful as possible, but that was only within like the limits of the game. I wanted to be the best guild in the server. I had so much love for the game, the Warcraft universe. I started playing World of Warcraft because of Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, and so on. But to actually see where Method is today, it's never what I would even have dreamed of. My initial goals when starting Method was to make Method the best guild in the server. I'd actually played on a prior server for a little bit to begin with, and I'd already started doing like a lot of the end game content, like the end game dungeons, started moving into Molten Core. Only ever killed the first boss though before we swapped onto Sylvanas and made Method there. And so basically, because I'd done a lot of the end game content, I just wanted to push myself in the game even further. And at that point, the only way to push it further was to try and be the absolute best. That's why I used to, always whisper people when I was trying to recruit them to the guild that, we're building the best guild in the server. And as a tank, leading a lot of the dungeon groups, it was a good place to be and to be able to convince these people to join. A big tipping point, I think, of transitioning Method from more than a guild into a larger, esports organization. I mean, first of all, the motivation was to make sure that Method continued long into the future. Method's been a huge part of my life since 2005, and I wanted to make sure that Method would continue to exist. A lot of the top raiding guilds in the past, like Paragon, Nihilum, Insidia, all these kind of guilds, they've just disappeared over time because they never took it a little bit further. Eventually, everyone stops playing the game at some point. I mean, speaking about that, I'm the only player in Method right now who's still playing since Manila. I think the oldest players after that is Rogerban and Justwait, two of the officers who joined in early Wrath of the Lich King. So a big tipping point was definitely with Twitch coming around as well, like allowing us to live stream a lot of our content, interact with the community in a different way. That was definitely a tipping point. But really it was just about trying to build Method in something a little bit bigger, something a little bit more sustainable that could, help motivate the players and help motivate people to continue playing the game, outside of just for love of the game, of course. 2018 definitely ended on a really high point for Method. We live streamed the Race to World First in Uldir for the very first time, live streaming World First Progress, and it was a massive hit. Like, numbers on Twitch were insane. The community absolutely loved the event. They really got behind it, and it was just overall a huge success.
I was here.
Everyone is yelling, please. No one else is going on. All here is still stable. Lost decks are going. MC Wood will end up falling down.
And then we followed up with that about a month and a half later, I believe, or 2 months later, with obviously Method Orange winning BlizzCon 2018.
I've been wanting this for so long, I've tried for so hard for so long. It just took the perfect group of people to help me through it. I couldn't have asked for a better team. These guys are absolutely incredible.
Method Orange, ladies and gentlemen.
So we definitely finished 2018 on a really high point, which led us into looking very much forward to 2019. In 2019, we basically wanted to build upon what we did in Uldir, right? So we wanted to focus very much on trying to make these Race to World First events bigger and better each time around, and I think we've managed to succeed up until this point. Let's hope we can continue that trend. We're very interested to take these events outside of just World of Warcraft and push them into other titles as well that our community can get behind. Like, so for example, you might have seen us doing some of the events in Path of Exile. But in general, we're just trying to create as much content as we can around World of Warcraft, of course, which will always be our base foundation, but also other games that relate well with the Method community. So you're going to see us be really, really focused on content creation. So the first Race to World First event we did was actually relatively small. It was only 3 of our players in like a small production room, with the production itself taking place in the same room next to the players. So we had like a little couch with a few talent, a few commentators and analysts. And it started off quite small, but the reception from the community and the numbers that event actually pulled in terms of viewership and whatnot was insane. And so we knew that we could really use this opportunity to expand that event out and make it bigger and better. Honestly, the way that the Race to World First events grew is purely because of how much love and interest they had from the community. Like, the community really got behind the first Race to World First event we did back in September, and seeing the kind of viewership, the kind of support that it had from the community, then we just knew that we had to, continue to try and make these events bigger and better each time. So the loss in Crucible of Storms, honestly, I wouldn't say it affected the mood in the raid team too much, because we actually kind of entered that raid with somewhat of a lazy attitude, if I'm being honest. We had a lot of the guild thinking that the raid would only take like a few days since it was just 2 bosses, and we had a lot of people in the guild who didn't actually consider the content to be that serious either. I do think that it was a very pleasant wake-up call, though, obviously, when we lost the World First to pieces. I think that gave the guild a bit of a reality check, because up until that point, we'd been getting World First on pretty much everything for such a long period. So it definitely was a little bit of an awakening. You know, it made us reflect a little bit on things and really make sure that we were prepared for the next big raid content that was coming out after that. After Unat and that loss, of course, we had some guild meetings, and yeah, I mean, it basically forced us to have a look at why we lost, of course. Should we have approached it differently? Because like I said, to begin with, we didn't really approach this raid as serious as we should have. There was also definitely some strategy errors we made on the first boss in particular. We were trying to run a very try-hard strategy, min-maxing everything, which and the boss didn't actually require that kind of strategizing. It was a little bit easier than that, so there was a little bit more leeway. So we definitely overplayed the first boss big time, which cost a lot of time. But then obviously on Unat we got outperformed as well. A lot of that definitely does come down to the lack of preparation and a little bit of the attitude around the raid itself. I mean, I can't say too much because I was actually not there on the kill itself. The boss took a lot longer than expected the night to go and celebrate my parents' 60th birthday, and we actually had a few other players who had other commitments they needed to jump out on, including of course our MDI guys who were playing in an MDI cup at the same time. All in all, it definitely wasn't a great tier for us, but we definitely learned some lessons. And like I said, it really helped give us a reality check that there is competition out there. We need to really get down to things and up our game to win the next year. Both the MDI teams were insanely solid this year. I was very confident leading up to BlizzCon that either Method EU or Method NA was going to take the win. Like I kind of already thought that we were going to have that in the bag because they were so consistent with the performance. Like they're great players. Like the Method EU team, it's 4 of the players in the guild, like 4 of the best players in the guild even. Some really good players, and the Method NA, of course, they're also a very, very good team. So I already kind of suspect that it could potentially be like a Method versus Method final. So I was quite comfortable about the MDI stuff, and great job at BlizzCon. Very exciting to see. The PvP team, I was definitely a little bit sad, of course, to see Method Orange not make it to BlizzCon this year, the champions from 2018. I do think maybe they played a little bit too much Classic, but who knows. At the same time, though, I knew that Method Black, Waz and his crew, they're by far one of the best teams in the world. Just that I knew on the PvP side of things, we definitely had a little bit more competition. There was obviously Wildcard Gaming, who we met in the finals at BlizzCon, but then also Cloud9 was actually kind of pitted as like our main rivals, which of course, had Snuts in it, who was a prior Method player in the past. And so the PvP was a very intense few games to watch, especially the final when we went 3-2 down against Wildcard Gaming in a best of 7. It was definitely edge of your seat kind of stuff, and I could feel the emotions running. But I spoke to Waz about it, and he said that they always consider every game to be, play it as if it's 0-0. So, to get over that pressure of being that one match point behind. But I was super happy when Method Black managed to win, especially because we had the Method party on that same night, and it would have put a little bit of a dampener as well on the Method party if Method Black didn't get that win. So yeah, amazing performance at BlizzCon this year, 2019, and just in general, this BlizzCon was huge for Method. We had about 50 people for Method in attendance, so like a lot of players, staff, so many people there, and it was also the first event that we did the Method party as well, which was a really good event. And just seeing like all the people at BlizzCon who were there to support Method, wearing Method merch, Method jerseys, all that kind of stuff. It was really great to see. That was actually the best thing for me to see personally, and I just loved it. I think it was a natural step for us in terms of the World of Warcraft competition, that because we were the best guild in the world, that we tried to make sure that we were the best in the other elements of World of Warcraft as well, right? So when it came to the MDI and it came to the PvP, we've always wanted to have like the best team in both those respective competitions. And yeah, in general, when it comes to WoW, we really do want to focus on, of course, content creation is our base and our foundation, but at the same time, we do definitely value competitive success. Speaking to the players across several different Method teams, just their actual determination and desire to win, it makes me feel really happy. It fuels, my desire to push the organization further for sure. And being the best is what we will continue to try and do in World of Warcraft. It's thanks to you guys for supporting Method that we're even able to do this, everything that we do from the get-go. So thank you so much for all the support, all the love, everything that you guys are doing to support and help Method. I really appreciate it. And so do all our players and staff, of course. There is actually a lot to be said for all the guys who are working behind the scenes at Method in terms of the Method staff. We actually have a very tight-knit group of people who work together to, help excel Method to where it is today. It's actually commonly referred to as like a second family. Like, it really is a great group of people who get on super well, and it's a pleasure, and it's awesome to work alongside them. So we've got a great bunch here. Thank you as always for your continued support, whether it's the comments on our videos, repping our merch in public, or just watching the streams with us. It really means the world to us. We have some really big things coming next year, and we can't wait to have you there alongside us. Thanks for watching, guys.